Welcome to this week's Desmond's Donders Photo Diary. Why not join us on our Donders? Diary, 21st of August 2020. Loch Meadie. We're doing the sensible thing today and not setting off late at night. We left it until this morning. We stopped to buy lunch, diesel and LPG. We had a slight problem with the LPG pump with a blowback, which gave me a cold burn. One pump was marked faulty, perhaps they both were. We had also a couple of minor incidents while driving. One person stopping a few car lengths short of a junction, and another who apparently wanted the entire road. We arrived and were soon set up having lunch. There were loads of hawkers, dragonflies, etc., as well as the midges flying around. We did have some heavy rain showers, but it brightened up and the afternoon was bright and breezy. I managed to fly my new drone. Wow, what an amazing jump from the old one. Later the breeze dropped and the midges returned in force. We settled down to watch the photos, video and the drone shooting, and then it was time for bed and the first sleep of this adventure. (22nd of August 2020). Loch Meadie. Today we are busy doing nothing. Walks and bird watching took up most of today. I put the radio antenna up and listened to the radio bands. Things are not good with very few signals about. We do have internet here, this place is getting ruined. We saw a buzzard close up and many hawkers and dragonflies were still about. The weather was patchy and we had some heavy showers. Tomorrow is supposed to be better, but nobody gets the weather right up here. I listened to the cricket most of the day, we're not otherwise busy. Then we settled down for the evening with a dram. (23rd of August). Kyle of Durness. We set off with lots of ideas and plans today. Our first stop though is DORNAIGIL Broch, just up the road. We stopped to take a look, then moved on to our first stop. This was the Ben Hope car park. Not a chance. It was packed with cars and I suspect Ben Hope is packed with people. We moved on and found a spot along Loch Hope for lunch. Moving on, we headed for Durness, and we noted that it was no busier than normal for August, and there was little evidence of the mess reported in the media. We looked at Bumblebee where we had parked before, but it was full of cars, so we moved on to the Kyle of Durness. There we got parked and settled in. Lindsay had shopped in Durness and I raided the dark island she'd bought there. We videoed, photographed and I flew the drone. Lindsay walked down to the Cape Wrath ferry. The park up got much busier later on, with half a dozen campers and a number of tents. There were no problems and we were entertained watching a pair of tenters struggle to erect and position their tent. That was slightly cruel. Soon it was time for bed. 24th of August, Shegra Beach. Happy birthday, Lindsay. I hope you had a lovely day. This morning, despite the crowds last night, the car park is pristine. We are moving on today, headed beyond Kinlochbervie and a possible fish supper. The road is busy, with many not understanding how single track roads work. We arrived at Kinlochbervie too early to eat, so we passed by the inn. We went to the shop in Kinlochbervie for fresh bread and salad stuff. There seems to be a local park up at the end of the road past the shop. We may try and find that sometime and have a look and even try it. We headed for one known spot with a beach. It was too early for a stop and there were other spots to check out. The next spot was full of cars, so we headed for Shegra Beach. It's a lovely place with some great views, and we decided this is where we were going to set up. Lindsay explored and I flew the drone. I got some amazing footage, I hope, but the tablet will not display 4K properly, so I'll have to wait until we get home. Although we did take a look at it on the 1080 display that the control unit saves. The site soon began to fill up, and that made me a little anxious. We decided not to move as it was getting late and other spots are likely to be the same by now. We sat out most of the day in the sun. We even had lunch and dinner outside. The weather was not on the forecast, but very welcome. We had a chill day despite the crowds. We watched our videos and photos as we settled down for the night. And amazingly, everything was quiet by 10:30 PM. So unlike the organised club sites. (25th of August 2020) Stoer Light. We decided to move on as the tap at Shegra was not working and we were in need of water. We went to OLDSHOREMORE where we knew we could get water. We topped off the tank and took the opportunity to empty the toilet cassette. We headed on then, after a cuppa, headed for Stoer Lighthouse. We had been there before on our first longer trip. Then we had more fun on the single track roads with folk not knowing what passive places were for. We got parked up and settled in. Whoops! Perhaps I should have mentioned our lunch stop at the old schoolhouse Kinlochbervie. It was a lovely fresh cooked fish supper. So at Stoer we don't need anything but a light tea. We sat and watched the birds and were treated to a sighting of a pod of minke whales that were just offshore. They appeared to be feeding on the shoal that was also attracting the birds. The community trust here was looking for £5 a night and maybe putting in a dump station for the use of motorhomes. All good if it happens. It was too windy to fly the drone, but perhaps in the morning. It was soon time for bed and sleep, although I did read my book for a short while. August 26th, Old Dornie. We left the lighthouse, headed for the beach near the some isles we had stopped at previously. We stopped at ARDVRECK Castle to explore, and I flew the drone for the second time today, as we flew it at Stoer before we left. It flies well and the battery lasts, allowing a couple of flights from each one. After lunch we moved on towards our intended spot. As we approached, we saw it was full of cars, so we headed for the second, our backup. This one was also full, at this time of machinery, as it is being extended. We passed a lovely spot a few hundred metres back along the road, and it made the perfect spot for us for the night. We explored and watched the seals in the small anchorage. We're at Old Dornie, near Achilty by the Summer Isles. We have also had more on forecast weather. I flew the drone again and we watched another beautiful sunset. We had a lovely dinner of steak and fresh tatties, washed down for me with a glass or two of red wine. We also had a lovely, peaceful night. August 27th, 2020. Lael Forest Gardens. We breakfasted watching the seals on the rocks. The expected early morning wake-up call did not happen. Apparently, the fishermen road workers here let you lie in. We set off to complete our circumnavigation. There is only one road in and out. Once again, passing places are a nightmare. There will be a video, I think. We stopped in Ullapool and did some more shopping, and then on to our overnight spot, Lael Forest Gardens. It's a lovely spot with waterfalls and woodland walks. The signage was old though, not reflecting the latest policy of the forestry re overnight parking. This did cause at least one comment, but the forestry ranger just ignored us and let us get on with it. He was replacing the trowel for the real wild campers to bury their waste. We had our evening meal and relaxed to the gentle sound of the rain until bedtime. Later we heard bats pinging on the antenna as we drifted off to sleep. 28th of August 2020, Loch Achilty. Today we are headed for Loch Achilty. Before we got there, we went looking for water. Everywhere we looked was locked up. It seems as if the Cromarty part of Ross and Cromarty is not opening up like the north and the west of Scotland. While turning at Rogie Falls, I broke the rear cluster on another car. Whoops. We did leave our details. Arriving at Achilty, we tried one spot and then moved another to another. And then, all settled in, we explored and watched the robins fighting over territory. Later, I flew the drone around the loch and Lindsay walked and took photos. We chilled and watched the paddlers and open water swimmers. And in the evening, we read and relaxed with a dram before bedtime. Twenty-ninth of August 2020. We had a peaceful day chilling and watching others work as they struggled to put up tents and light fires. Then we were entertained by the open water swimmers, who seemed to have no problem with the open air changing facilities. We waited until Sandy arrived, and then once he was set up, we chilled and chatted until it was time for bed. We sorted out his route and advised on fuel, etc. Sandy is going to do the NC500. Lindsay and I once again read for a bit, and then we headed off to bed as well. 30th of August 2020. Califer viewpoint. We saw Sandy off on his NC500 journey. Then we packed her up and headed for Tor to top up the LPG. We used just less than a bottle over the time we were away. Then we topped off the diesel and set off for Califer viewpoint. After some lunch I went out and I flew the drone. Then I shot a couple of intro videos for YouTube. And Lindsay went for a short walk. I became unwell, so we decided rather than spend the night, we would head home slightly early. Thank you for watching our photo diary from our last trip, our last longer donder, what we're calling our autumn adventure. The other videos will follow, and they will contain the normal history, etc. elements that I normally put in our weekend videos. This is something we did mention we would be doing in our previous trip, and it seemed to work with the photo diary followed by episodes of each place we visited. Hoping this works out and you enjoy the further series, which will be available, of course, as a playlist. Lots of things to come, and lots of interesting video and more photos of each location we visited. Thank you. Thank you for watching this week's Desmond's Donders. Please take nothing but memories, leave nothing that tracks. We hope you enjoyed it and you'll join us next time. In the meantime, please think about subscribing.